think these self-help books are helping very much. Hey, I am Chuck the bureaucrat, and I'm starting to get this sneaking suspicion that a lot of advice about how to be successful is fundamentally inaccurate. It's as if the purveyors of this pop wisdom see a correlation between certain actions and certain outcomes, but they don't really understand what the causative link is. It's like they know that the moon has something to do with the tides, but they have no theory of gravity. In general, what bugs me about this is that oversimplified, almost cartoonish understanding of success, it's good enough to get started, and it's good enough over the short run. But for long-term, major undertakings, a deeper understanding is vital. It's like you don't need to understand gravity to shoot a three-pointer, but you're not going to be able to put a satellite into space if you don't have a deep understanding of Newtonian physics. And what really started to bug me was that right around the new year, I started to get bombarded with all these LinkedIn newsletters that honestly looked like they were written by ChatGPT. And the one thing that really caught my attention had to do with goal setting. And look, I'm not saying that they're wrong when they say pick a goal that motivates you and set a measurable and attainable goal. Give yourself a deadline, write it down, lay out a series of steps. I'm saying that advice is simply inadequate for a 35-year-old who finds themselves hip deep in the bureaucracy or a 50-year-old facing retirement. It works great in college. I mean, setting goals for a single semester, it's what I did to be successful, and really, if I went back, that's what I'd do again. But when you're staring down the barrel of 15 to 25 years in a topsy-turvy environment where the future's unpredictable, there's tons of stuff you don't know, and there are lots of people who are out to exploit you, that goal-setting advice is just not enough. It borders on the naive. I mean, the idea of goal accomplishment just isn't very satisfying. If you set the wrong goal and you don't accomplish it, well, that's sort of an unwelcome experience. But even more problematic is that any sense of accomplishment you get from achieving a goal, it's kind of fleeting. One of my professors on my dissertation committee said to me one time, you know, after they give somebody the Nobel Prize, there's a dinner party. And you know what they ask the Nobel Prize winner at that dinner party? What are you working on now? There is no goal so satisfying that the afterglow doesn't fade. Maybe it's just me, but usually within 24 hours of accomplishing something, it's just another trophy in a dusty case, and all I'm thinking about are all the trophies that I haven't won. No goal will ever equal success. Stephen King laments that he will never win certain literary prizes. Paul McCarthy seethes with frustration every time he hears somebody say that the newest boy band is better than the Beatles. And you know Michael Jordan wishes he could have made a bigger impact on Major League Baseball than he did. Oh, and consider this. Let's just assume that an incentive for any goal is that jolt of brain chemicals that you get when you achieve it. That might be hugely satisfying for some college sophomore who's never had that experience before. But after 15 years of setting and accomplishing goals, maybe the thrill is gone. So we have to look deeper to shape our behavior in order to be successful. For me, one of the best articulations of this is Earl Nightingale's "Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal." Now, I'm not going to go into dissecting every single word in that phrase because Earl does a great job on his own, and there's plenty of YouTubers posting his content. I just want to focus on that one word, ideal. See, an ideal is a hypothetical standard of perfection. It's a conception of what would be best, but in a lot of cases, it's unattainable. It can never exist in reality. It's like the difference between a location on a map and the direction that you go. A location, it's like a goal. It's a specific place that you go to at a specific time by following a specific path. We can talk about whether or not a location on a map is attainable or not. Like, I almost certainly am never going to summit Mount Everest, but I'll probably stand in the courtyard of the Pentagon again. On the other hand, a direction, an azimuth, that is an ideal. You can head north, or you can be north of a point, but you can never truly get to north. The same thing goes for ideals like truth, respect, self-sufficiency, and money. You can move towards them, but you can never truly attain them. So in the big open world that we find ourselves, goals are useful in the short term, but over the long run, ideals are vital. Otherwise, you find yourself just running endless side quests and your armor never really matches. Okay, but so what? Well, as we go into 2024 and towards 25 and 2030, we don't know what kind of obstacles and setbacks we're going to face. We don't know the kinds of opportunities we're going to run into or the people who are going to help us along the way. But you can choose an ideal or a set of ideals to use as your guiding star as you travel along. It might sound high-minded and idealistic, but nailing down those ideals that you are going to follow, I think that's a better use of time than creating a checklist of tasks to complete. Once you're headed in a direction that's genuine to you, I think everything becomes that much easier. Now, if you want to see why there's a disconnect between the type of advice that helps a college student and a middle-aged person, watch this video about the different stages of human development.